Welcome to everybody as we get into this session around Sundays being game day. So if you've got a sporting background, and I know a lot of us here do, and we love our sport, we understand that if you're in a team, you train during the week as a team and you do your personal fitness and you work on your skills and you do all these things, but it all leads up to that one day. And when I was a kid, it was Saturday, and Saturday was game day. I remember actually Saturdays felt like, because I love football, and it felt like growing up, it was Christmas every Saturday. I'd wake up way too early before everybody else in the house. I'd go and it's winter in Victoria playing footy, so I'd go put the gas heater on and warm up the lounge room. Then I'd watch all the cartoons from 5:30 right through, and then I'd get into my footy gear way too early, and then I'd kick the Nerf footy around inside the house, and I'd sort of look at the time and what time are we going, Mum? And there'd be such a sense of excitement because it was game day. And really, if there's different industries have a game day. So if you're in real estate, Saturday is game day. That's when everyone has their inspections. That's when everybody does their stuff. You're working all during the week, but the big day is Saturday. And so for us as a church, Sundays is game day. If you're a youth leader, a youth person, Sundays and Friday night is game day, all right? So that's the concept. And the 80-20 principle, which is actually very true right across the board in so many different areas, 80% of what happens in the life of our church in terms of momentum happens on game day. Lots of it happens during the week, but in terms of growth, reaching people, impacting our community, a lot of life that's imparted to people happens around Sundays. So we spend a lot of time as staff, and then our pastors spend a lot of time getting people to game day. And so when we get to that day, that's when God's doing amazing things. He obviously is all during the week, but that's a big focus for us as a church. It's like the pivotal point. And we have 4 key pillars as a church of what we're doing. The first is our weekend services. The next is our groups, getting people together, meeting in groups. The next is our dream team, helping people get into dream team. And then the next is our leadership team, so helping people get involved in leadership and developing them. They're the 4 pillars that make our church work. Our growth track or next step sessions is really helping people get into Sunday services or groups or dream team or leadership. So that's the 4 big building blocks of our church. So if you're a pastor or training to be a pastor or a ministry assistant an assistant to a pastor, if you're a group coach, if you're a department leader, if you're on the events team, the welcome team, the yes team, junior high, kids team, creche team, worship team, Sunday's game day. All of what you're doing is getting everybody ready for the big day. And so I want to do some training specifically around the mindset of what happens on Sunday, okay? The thinking of what happens on Sunday, so that the experience for everybody who comes to our service on Sunday, when I say this, I'm also meaning youth on a Friday night, same thing. For everybody who comes to one of our services is going to experience the same thing, all right? So I've got about 10 points that are really specific, and so let's get into these from the outset. So the first one is come prayed up and on. Okay, come prayed up and on. Don't come and think, oh, I really hope the music's good today to get me in the zone. Because if you're a leader or a pastor, you know how to get yourself in the zone. And so you start by, you come prayed up, ready to go. So for me, that starts around about 7 o'clock on a Saturday night in preparing for Sunday. I've been preparing all during the week, but in terms of getting my game face on, it starts Saturday night. I'm starting to pray, think for a couple of hours, pray and get ready so that when I rock up here, the priests used to do this thing where they'd come in to minister to the Lord and they'd take off their normal clothes, they'd keep their linen underwear on, and then they'd put on their priestly garments. And it was sort of separating me, the person, and me, the minister. And so as a leader and as a minister, we've got to be able to go, now I've got my own personal challenges and issues, but I'm coming this is about being a priest, I'm coming as a minister to minister life to people. So I've taken my stuff off and I'm dealing with that with God, and really I'll get something out of church, but that's not my focus. My focus is others. As I make that my focus, I'll get something out of church, but my focus is making about others. So I put my priestly garments on and I'm coming with the mindset of ministering to people. And so that mindset, what I want to be really clear about is that's an easy mindset to have if you're going to be on stage. because, oh yeah, I've got to be prayed up because I'm in the music team. Or if you're going to be doing something in the pulpit, or I'm doing the offering, or I'm preaching, I'll be prayed up because I'm ministering, Or there might be, okay, I'm coming ready for the prayer line, so I'm going to be ministering, or I'm going to be praying. Cheryl's got these teams praying, doing awesome. So that can be, oh, awesome, I'm on. But what I want us to have is a mentality is if I'm a pastor or leader or in any area, a group coach or assistant pastor in those areas, I'm actually also on, whether I get a microphone or not, and I'm on as a minister to minister to people. I'm bringing the life of Jesus to people. And people, those of us who are doing it, whether it's the welcome team or the yes team, are as important as those who are doing it from the pulpit or from the stage. So we come prayed up and we come on. That's number one. Number two is we get there early. We get there early. On time is late. Game day starts at least 35 minutes before the service starts in terms of being on site. So we have our pre-service prayer meeting here, but I know some of the teams get here a couple of hours probably before church starts. So depending on what team you're part of, I know the youth on a Friday night, 90 minutes before it starts at 7 o'clock, there's this big team all gather to pray and get ready and prepare and get in the zone. So being here early is a big part of, okay, I'm coming, because that's that mentality. I'm not coming for me, I'm coming for others. And I'm already on before I come, but when I get here, I'm ready. I'm in the zone because it's game day. Number three is it's not just me who I get here early, I get my team here early. So I'm not just a solo minister, I'm ministering with a team of people, and I'm encouraging them to come, to be in prayer, to be switched on, to be ready to go. All right, that's number three. Number four, all right, and this is the sense that although church might be 90 minutes in the auditorium, church actually starts about 30 minutes before and 30 minutes after for most people. Some people, it amazes me, some people come half an hour before church and they're ready, they're just having a coffee or just hanging out or sussing the place out. A lot of people hang for at least half an hour after church. So often the meeting before the meeting or the meeting after the meeting is as important as the meeting. So that's the mindset. So we've got to come with that mindset. So it starts with pre-service, okay? And it starts with our thinking towards everybody who's coming because we're ministering to people. We're not hyping them up, but we are, as Chris Pringle calls it, we are the big hug. We are the big hug for everybody. And so this is what I would say that I want people to experience outside of the service, okay? So the service is part of the overall experience, but in terms of the ministers around the whole church on a Sunday, from the car park to the pulpit, is this. I want people to feel loved. I want them to come to church and know I'm loved in the house of God. So therefore there's warmth, there's celebration. You know, little kids rock up with their parents and they're getting high-fived and they're celebrated. I'm so glad you're here. There's just, it's not hype, but there's an excitement to see you. There's a warmth, there's a genuineness. Being loved, one of the greatest ways to love people is to remember their name. So it's now beyond me to remember people's names, but it's not beyond you as a ministry area pastor or a yes team person or an assistant to a ministry area pastor or a group leader. The more names you can remember, the better. Also, the way people are loved is not just remember their names, but you remember their circumstances. So if you're able to say as someone comes in, oh, wow, this happened for me on Sunday. I got a little prompter from someone. Don't forget that guy, as he's coming, his mum just passed away last week. And it's like, awesome. And I work before I come to church to get my mind in the zone of who's had challenging circumstances, who's had pastoral crisis, so that when they come, I can remember. And so I just had like a 3-minute chat. How you going? You know, the big hug, just acknowledging what's going on. So by remembering names and circumstances, people feel cared for. So that's the love. There's a genuineness. My love is demonstrated by the fact that I look through my phone for years, looking up names of new people so that when they come back, I'll remember their name. Or writing down things about them so that I can ask how that went and how that went. That's how we demonstrate love, okay? So that's got to be a team approach, not just one person or not just 3 or 4, but an army of people ministering to people. That's love. So I want everyone to feel loved. I want everyone to feel connected. So this is the aim of the ministers to people in the car park, in the foyer, and in the auditorium, is that they feel connected. That means I'm wanting to connect them to people who are leaders who are going to be able to follow them up. So I'm not going to follow everybody up, but I want to look in the car park and know that there's at least 2 or 3 people who will be able to follow this new person up this week. And so this is why it's game day. There's actually positions to play on game day. And nothing more frustrating is if someone's out of position in the team strategy. So if I'm in the car park and there's a 27-year-old guy, and I look around and I can't see anybody in the 25 to 35 age group guys, we've dropped the ball. So, because I want to, now I always do because Josh does a great job. So, but I want to make sure that there's Josh and at least 2 or 3 other leaders in that area, so that if there's 3 there at that time, they can all be connected to. That's why it's a team approach for every ministry area. So I want to make sure that I can connect them to leaders who'll follow them up. That might be welcome team people, that might be yes team people, it might be connect group leaders. And also, I'm aiming to connect people to friends. All right, so we know the whole principle of where people feel connected and they're part of a church when they've got 6 friends. So that's like a brick in the wall. 6 bricks around a wall will build someone into the life of the church. So my aim is not just to build everyone in connection to me. It starts with that. But as a leader, my aim is to connect people to other people like them. And obviously the ultimate aim is groups, so that they can have that experience within a group. But my aim is to help connect them to people. So therefore, as a minister in this realm, you got to be good at thinking, and that's why you come prayed up. Holy Spirit, help me think. Who can I connect that person to? Who can I connect that person to? When you're thinking like that, it's amazing time and time again how I talked to one guy recently, and I'm like, now you need to meet Wayne Graham. You're similar age, you've got a professional background, you've got overseas experience. I'm talking to him in church, and Wayne just walks in. I'm like, bingo, connect, withdraw. They talk for another 15 minutes. We've made a connection. That's another brick in the wall. Recently, I did it with, so if you know Jeremy Broad and Jim Carr, I'm like, you 2 guys, you need to meet. They never met. They went to different services, but you're both born in Ballarat. You both love cars. You're both rev heads. You both love guitar and music. And so I made it my mission to connect these guys. Now they're inseparable, go on different trips together, whatever. So my job is to connect people. It starts by connecting to me, but then out of that connection to me, I earn a credibility to connect them to one another. So you're a master connector, okay, as a minister. So we want people feeling loved. We want them feeling connected. And then we want to help them take their next step. Now, not all at once. We don't overwhelm them with that, but we're thinking all the time, all right, how can I help this person take the next step in their journey? And what might that be? That's why we have the next step zone. Don't be afraid to walk people on a Sunday to the next step zone to see one of the next steps geniuses and help them find a group, help them go to the next step session or the growth track, whatever it is. So there are 3 things that we want everybody to experience on a Sunday: love, connection, and an understanding of their next steps, all right? So then if we've got that mentality, what we've got to then get very strategic. There's nothing ad hoc about this. It requires being on and strategic every Sunday. And so therefore, what we've put together is what I would call the 6 Sunday or game day VIPs, all right? They're very important persons. Now in our church, everybody is a VIP. All right, everybody, because everyone gets cared for, everyone gets loved, everyone who's part of a group gets prayed for by name. So everyone's a VIP, but on game day, on Sundays, there are certain people who we need to treat as the very important person on Sunday. Now, to illustrate this, you would have had this experience. I don't know if you've ever had this, where you've walked into a shop and you're like, I want to buy something here today. And you walk in and there's someone behind and you need help. And there's someone behind the counter, they're on the mobile or on their phone or talking to a friend, the shop assistant behind the counter, and you walk in and you're waiting for hey, how you going? How can I help you? You're waiting for it because you need it. And you just sort of look around and they're talking about Saturday night and what happened. They're just, yeah, he said and she said and it was amazing, blah, blah, and they're totally ignoring you. Obviously not the owners, just paid staff. Because if they're the owners, if they've got a sense of ownership about everything, they're not going to be doing that. They're going to be looking at who's the potential most important person in the store right now. Well, it's me. I'm ready to spend. I'm making decisions. So that mentality of walking in, you wait around for 5 or 10 minutes, you don't get served, you actually move on and take your heart and your business elsewhere. So my most frustrating thing that I can ever experience on a Sunday is that experience of watching someone who's new and watching two people who are old, in the sense of old and around, and have got a deep friendship, who had coffee that week, who went to Connect Group that week, talk, and ignore, and that person who's in a vulnerable position in terms of connection to God comes and goes, and we've missed what really on a Sunday is a 15 minutes before and 30 minutes after. That's our window. That's the most, like, as a people minister, outside of the pulpit ministry, that's primo time, okay? So here are the VIPs we've got to look at and think about every Sunday. Are you ready for them? Okay, they are the first-time visitors. Okay, they have a bewildered look in their eyes usually, like, what's going on here? And so you don't ask them if it's your first time, but you're like, hey, great to see you. The question is, what do we say? The question that we'll ask people is, so how long have you been coming? Because that could be, it's my first time, or for 6 months. I've asked people, is this your first day? And like, no, I've been coming for 9 months. I'm like, of course you have. That's right, my bad. So how long have you been coming is a great question. And so when they go, it's actually my first time. Oh, fantastic. They just became the most important person in the room. Not just for the welcome team, but for all of us. So if they've got kids, bring them to the kids area, introduce them to the kids team, walk them. So I would never just high five someone and let them keep going. I'd walk them to make sure that intimidating experience and we're not well set up with the door and everything here, but I'd walk them in to make sure it's less intimidating and I'm making a connection, show them around, take them into the auditorium, someone walk with them and make that a positive experience. So that the first time visitors, that's coming in, but going out, now they should have their white bag. That's the indicator, all right? And a lot of people bypass the welcome lounge and they go straight outside, which means that there's three pivotal moments for the VIPs: before, during church in that 1 minute meet and greet. And if you're a pastor or an assistant ministry pastor, get around and identify all the people you don't know, so that after church, straight outside almost to the gate and working our way back in to connect with those first time visitors. It's like a team game plan that we've got to work to week in, week out, okay? So that first time visitors are very important, no particular order. Number 2, people who've got saved. All right, so obviously the Yes team are going to focus well on them, but we want to have this priority of looking after those people. They've now got a red bag and a white bag. So they're like, it's like a bullseye on their chest. They've got the red bag. So making sure we connect with them. And again, we're looking to help them make connections as well. Feel cared for, not feeling like they're getting 50 questions and being grilled, but just looking to find natural, good connections. That's number 2. These are VIPs. Number 3 would be people who are either what we call red alerts, haven't been around for a while, but now they've come back. And we want to make sure they feel the warmth. Nothing worse than coming to church after you've been away for 5 months and everyone going, hey, hi, hello. And it's like, did anyone notice I was away? Does anyone notice I've been away? So this is that whole thing, we care because we know their story. Oh, wow, that's right, you're overseas, something happened, a tragedy in your family, or you've been on holidays, or hey, it's so great to see you. And not giving the guilt to people, just warmth. And I care, it's so great to see you, I miss seeing your smiling face. That kind of vibe, looking out for people who are either red alerts, so if they haven't been to church for how long, Josh? 4 weeks, they're now a red alert for us to look out for. We don't tell them, you're on my red alert list. Great to see you here. Awesome, I can tick you off the list now. I'm glad you're back. Awesome, God bless you. No, these are just things that we have to help us to identify the people who we're giving extra TLC to, okay? They're a Sunday game day VIP, or people who have been in crisis. So people who have been in crisis, and that's not just necessarily 1 week. There's a lady in our church, her husband died a couple of months ago. So most Sundays I make a beeline to just give her a hug, to say it's so great to see you here, how are you doing? And that's 1 or 2 minutes. But it's just that extra love and care for people who are going through tough situations for us, okay? That's the family giving one another the big hug. Okay, then number 4 is people you don't know, okay? Which, and I would tend to say in your demographic, all right? Because as church gets bigger and bigger, but if you're a team member of the 35 to 50s, then you're going to gear towards them. You don't have to like, oh, you're 52, see you later. But there's a general sort of idea of, I don't know these guys. It's up to me to make myself known to them. It's up to me to find out who they are. Maybe someone on the team can introduce me to them. But really, so this is where we want people thinking beyond their clique. Okay, and what we call a group, we have to be careful doesn't become a clique, because a group is awesome because it's part of my family and connection. But if I'm unable to get outside of my group for new people, then that becomes a clique, and that becomes hard for people to break into. So pastoral and ministry leaders are continually going, awesome, they've got 6 friends, they're well known, I know who they are. These guys don't. I'm going to look after them, and I'm going to work on the connection. So people who I don't know, make a priority to get to know them. That is 4. Number 5 is, okay, this is probably relates to number 4 there, and it's newish people who aren't yet connected. Okay, you know who they are, but they still haven't got some friends. They still haven't made a connection. So you are their connection point for a little while. You're having a conversation until they've been built into the life of the church. So those, that they might be newer Christians, they might be newer to the church. It could be for up to 6 months until they've really, they've got someone to sit with. And this is part of the pre-church mentality. It's not just in the car park. It's actually someone on your team should be walking around the auditorium, if you're a pastor, saying hi to people, because often visitors come and sit down on their own. So I saw someone Sunday night. She was sitting right over there in the far corner, 19 years old, been coming for a few weeks, Catholic background, no church like this, just found us off the website, so no natural connections. So I went up to Katie Anderson, told her, Katie, there's someone over there, told her a story. Katie went and found her, grabbed her, came and brought her in to sit with a whole lot of girls her age, and worked hard to build her in to a group of friends. And so that's the thinking. It's not just out in the car park or the foyer, it's the auditorium, walking around and looking for people so that people aren't sitting alone. Okay, so that's new people not yet connected. And the last one, this is for after the service, is people who have just had a powerful experience with God. Because that's prime time to go, okay, the Holy Spirit's doing something here right now. They were prophesied over. They got prayed for healing. They were healed, or they weren't healed. And so therefore there's a vulnerability to it. So just encouragement and watching. So Sunday night, I prophesied over a couple, and straight afterwards, and the power of God was all over them. I was like, okay, hearts are going to be open for conversations around their next step. So straight away, I grab Josh, he runs down, they come into your place for dinner. They went to your place for dinner last night, because it's a pastoral moment. There's an openness to God after a powerful moment to have conversations about people's next step, all right? So that's the 6 Sunday VIPs rolling through. Focus on VIPs before, during, and after. Okay, we don't want anyone having the bad shopping experience going through. Okay, one other thing would be to make sure that we operate not just in our area, but if someone's got teenage kids, introduce the parents to the youth leaders. If they've got kids, introduce them to the kids pastors. So we're working as a team with families as a particular priority. And then of course, ultimately, if we can get new people into our growth track, our next step sessions, that's a real focus for us. Not the first question we ask. The aim is we get to know something about people. We get to know their story, why they're here. That will help us build connections with people and connect them to the right people. But that's just some thoughts around game day and how we can love people and connect people and help them grow as disciples. Best team. Love you guys. Thank you so much.